Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, to Season 2 of the Universal Open, presented by 7-Eleven and Brisk. Now, we are continuing to pioneer the way in 2v2 Rocket League this year, as we have some of the best players in North America still battling out against some of the best in Europe for a piece of that $100,000 prize pool. Now, if you hadn't seen us for the last 3 days, obviously welcome along, but we're doing it bigger and better than ever. We're bringing you double the amount of broadcasts for the qualifiers this year before we once again head over to North America for the regionals. Now, I can't do this alone, of course. I've got the two people back next to me who have, you've done well. I'm going to give it to you. You've done well so far. How are you doing, gentlemen? What have you been up to? And are you looking forward to today? Because it's all about qualification today.
Yes, today is definitely the one. If you've missed the previous two, this is the good one to tune into because it's the best teams out of the closed bracket qualifier. It's going to be all really great matches today. It's going to be a tight one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this has been what it's all led up to. Every single match that we have on broadcast today is to qualify for that regional, to get into taking on each other, to be that one team to represent at Stanford. So there's a lot to play for today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is really for everything today. This is what these players have been playing for. But, of course, it's not only us who are here. We've got you guys who are watching at home, and we want to get you involved as well. So use that hashtag UOS2 on Twitter to get involved with the conversation. Any decent tweets that we see out there as well, of course. We want to get them featured on the broadcast. So any predictions for today? Teams you're expecting to see qualify, let us know. And, obviously, we'll make sure that we can try and get them on broadcast for you and get some feedback from the guys on the desk on that as well. Now, if you haven't joined us before, let's have a quick look at the format and see exactly how things are going to work in Season 2 of the Universal Open. We've already seen some pretty cool games so far, but as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, that's where we are at the moment. The closed qualifiers. East, we have there Northeast, Central, and West. That's all of the American regions that will be battling out to get into those regional finals you can see in the middle there. Washington, New York, Chicago, and San Francisco. Europe will qualify through the online process, and then we have that grand finals, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, the double elimination tournament to be held in Stanford. 8 teams will be there, August 24th to 28th. Do not miss it because it is going to be one hell of a show. Now, let's move on. Let's have a look about where we are at the moment as far as the East qualifiers are concerned. Let's have a brisk bracket update. You can see all of the games that we've had so far, and now you can see on the right-hand side of your screen where we are going to be today. We're going to have NRG2 taking on Sathstroh, Space Station taking on Upper 90 Esports in our upper bracket games, and then the losers of those games will go up against either Splice or Birds and Bees, who we have already seen obviously in a lot of action so far today. So let's have a quick look at the matches that we're going to have coming up tonight and the order in which they're going to be coming to you, starting off with the very impressive NRG2 taking on Sathstroh. Now, gentlemen, that's going to be our first game of the day. Obviously, incredibly excited to get underway and see what has arguably been, the most impressive team we've seen so far in the Universal Open. How are you feeling about this little matchup we've got going on? Because we haven't seen any of Sathstroh so far.
Yeah, Sathyu and Astro, they've also been around the scene for a long time. Sathyu actually spent a lot of time playing with Karma for a long time back on Freestylers in Disguise. Astro played on a Rival Series team back in Season 1. He was on Kinematics with Laz and Nomad and Peppered. So they've kind of been in the background a little bit since then, but of course going up against the Juggernaut NRG2, they put up 15 goals yesterday, so got their work cut out for them on defense for sure.
Yeah, I've got to be looking at this one, and obviously we go into this one saying NRG2 are the favorites right now. It's just more about a question of how much of a fight will be put up against them, how much are they really going to have to... Because let's be honest, as we ramp up into this tournament, as this tournament gets more and more difficult for them, they're going to want to take on some top-tier competition in a higher level before we hit those live finals. So this could be the match that at least lets them test themselves out just that little bit more before we head into the deeper stages of the tournament.
Okay, well, there's a few things for you guys to keep an eye on at home as well. And one of them, of course, is the Dual Force Achievement Unlock. That is going to be given away to the player who scores 7 goals and puts up 11 saves in one match. You can see it. Beautiful. Just about here. That's about right, isn't it? Absolutely nailed that time.
It's pretty close.
But keep an eye out for that. We managed to give one away yesterday. I believe it was Jaywiz who managed to pick that up yesterday. So keep an eye out for that during the broadcast for obviously an outstanding performance from one of the players. Now, on a slightly more serious note, we must give a massive thanks to one of our fantastic sponsors, Soylent, who will be joining us on this broadcast in the fight against hunger. Now, for every single goal that is scored during the Universal Open qualifiers, they will donate 10 meals to the World Food Program over in the USA. It's a fantastic cause, and you guys at home also can get involved. Simply head over to wfpusa.org/achieves
Universal Open.
Universal
I'm
Open.
on it,
Exactly.
You're not going to get me on
We're on
twice in a
fire
row.
today. We're not going to miss a thing today. Don't you worry about it. We're going to bring you all of the action, and we're not going to miss a beat. So a very good cause. Obviously, if you want to get involved, it's fantastic to do. And we've given away, I think you had the total number, didn't you? It was, I think it was 60-odd meals yesterday. Sorry,
74
60-odd goals
day
yesterday.
One. Yeah. 740 meals on day one. I forget the exact number.
We're well over 1,000.
60-some.
Basically, we're well over 1,000. So it's a fantastic cause, and obviously, get involved. Head over to that website, and yeah. It's a fantastic course. So, gentlemen, let's talk a little bit more about this game one. Now we've got everything out the way. Let's talk about Rocket League, because today is all about qualification, like we mentioned. A lot of pressure on these teams now. The upper bracket teams, obviously, they kind of had that second chance still in the bag, but when we get into those lower bracket games, the last two games that we'll be showing you today, I mean, it's going to be, all on the line.
Yeah, and it's really curious because we have the potential for the Splice Upper 90 Esports rematch down in the lower bracket if the second match of the day doesn't quite go Upper 90's way, which will be really interesting for me to see just because Splice didn't really have a lot of offense going for them in that first show versus Upper 90. So if they get the rematch, I'm really curious if that plans out again or if they bring something different like they did with yesterday's performance.
Yeah, I think that'll be all down to Splice just sort of reaching into that bag of tricks we were talking about yesterday and really, thinking of something new. They definitely seemed panicked the last time they took each other on. So I think Splice would actually be looking at it and just going, we want Upper 90 again. We want to prove that we can beat this team. They're not going to want to take on Space Station. They want Upper 90 to get knocked down, and they want to eliminate them themselves.
Now, talking about this first game we've got here, NRG2, obviously the standout performers so far that we've seen during the tournament, and they have been, they've brought it all to the table, haven't they? They really have mixed up the way they've been playing in the 2v2, and they have been the standout team. Now, let's look at Sathstroh. What have they got to do to maybe upset the balance? It's a big ask. Yes, we are aware of that, but 2v2, things can happen.
Keys to success for shutting down NRG2, the big thing is you're going to have to be able to challenge the ball effectively, because you're going to see a lot of Garrett G and JNaps. They're going to be coming off the sidewalls, going for air dribbles, keeping the ball high up in the air, so you're going to have to be able to challenge that ball, and that's kind of your best bet. If you can't stop that, then good luck stopping them in general.
Well, here we go then. Game number one is underway. It's the first game of the day. It's going to be NRG2 taking on Sathstroh. It's over to your commentators. Once again, it's going to be Achieves and Shogun.
Thank you very much, on set. This is game number one of the day. Remember, the winner of this heads on to the next round in Sathstroh. This is going to be the best possible start for them. They're coming into this matchup as the underdogs, but a goal will definitely offset the nerves.
Yeah, they get up there for that quick challenge. JNaps was on the way rotating back in the net. Garrett G was trying to buy a little bit of time, but just flat out lost the challenge. And Sathstroh, with a good angle on it, just drives it down the field. And like you said, that is the best possible start.
I mean, it's exactly as you mentioned earlier on, how those challenges, they need to be attempted, and not only that, they need to be won. See these passing plays coming out from NRG2. Not quite finding each other just now. Sathstroh double taps that one straight down. Sathstroh wants to get his teammate back a little bit more before he decides to play this one back out. Now Garrett wins the challenge.
But Sathstroh did buy a lot of time with that challenge, and it did buy Astro enough to grab boost, and now they're on the offense again.
Yeah, Sathstroh, one of the only teams that we actually have on the broadcast today that we haven't been able to see just yet. Well, definitely the unknown. Team that has got players with a reasonable amount of standard success. They've always been that team just on the cusp of greatness. Garrett G, though, he's been great for a very long time at this point. JNaps has got Garrett to aim for. The shot leaves much to be desired, and as the ball is powered down to the other end of the field, that is big for Sathstroh.
Yeah, just a nice big clear, grab some boost, but they're still on the defensive side of things, and Astro is actually on 0 right now. This is going to be a very tough defensive stretch right here.
Drops down, JNaps already up. Doesn't really take the shot. It's got Astro back out. Very slow pace currently being employed by NRG2. They are not really going guns blazing. Instead, they're trying to outplay Sathstroh in those small situations, either through forcing out challenges or just taking the ball away. So far, not quite getting the result, but JNaps winning that challenge. How quickly that could change, though. Sathstroh, once again, clearing the lines. Just want to keep a hold of the lead, but that's a big mistake. Sathstroh controlling the ball, back out to Astro. Garrett G should be in control here. There's those big players that we were talking about yesterday, just how good they can be to get rid of pressure, set up new situations. Garrett, he hits, he runs, he scores.
Yeah, he's got a lot of space to work with here out of the midfield. Astro recognizes it a little bit too late, tries his best to get up there, but even if he did get more meat behind that ball, Garrett G was right there for the block and would have probably ended up stuffing it into the net either way. So just a little bit late on the recognition there out of the midfield, but otherwise a decent attempt at defense.
Just how deadly it can be if you decide to put everyone forward for the offensive pressure. Garrett's shot off the post. JNAPS is over there for the follow. That 1-0 lead has just evaporated in front of Sathstroh's eyes.
It's a really nice pass upfield, and Sathju's just kind of hoping that one takes a favorable bounce out into the corner. He's not in a good spot, knows it's wide, and just hopes he gets a better bounce. Unfortunately, it came right back into the midfield, and JNAPS, he was kind of lurking as a shark and said, look, if you make a mistake, I'll punish it, and he got a great bounce for it.
Clip reset is available. Not quite got the angle for it, though. NRG2 currently in the driver's seat. They would love to try and put in a couple more, though, just to make it that little bit more comfortable. Sathstroh, though, looking pretty solid overall.
They're definitely not doing too bad, but they are spending a lot of time on defense. Garrett G and JNAPS definitely driving pace of play, but they are definitely holding their own, that is for sure.
And there's a certain risk when you do go for those infield
That's
challenges,
a great shot.
as that is an infield pass, not quite working out. But yes, they already have to pick their opportunity to try and challenge incredibly well, because if it goes against them, that's a 2v1 that you've got to deal with. Or you get situations just like this, where the ball could go to your own net. Follow up from Garrett G, scored.
Really nice effort there from Sathju to get back. And again, Astro just a little bit slow to go for that challenge in the midfield. You don't pick it up quite on the replay, but he did take maybe a quarter of a second or so just to really make sure he could go for it. And that was really all it took. JNAPS got on top of it and just pushed it through him.
It took them a second or two just to wind themselves into this match. But right now, this game is all NRG2, 4-1. And honestly, it looks like Sathstroh's best moment has been and gone in this game.
Yeah, I kind of sat down and was writing the details of that last goal, so I totally missed what happened on this goal. But, you know, it's a kickoff. There's not much to say. It goes straight out to the side, and they're just quick to it.
Sathstroh just not really looking themselves after that second goal went in. Good flick up.
Chance here. Ooh, missed it.
Sathstroh has got to back out. He's trying to keep that pressure on at this point in time. Have to fight for some time as well, because Sathju wants to take some hits away at JNAPS. Unless they can get something going soon, this game could very well be over.
Here's a good chance to get it going.
That's going to be an own goal, forcing it out. Calculated, calculated, calculated. And then your chat has been disabled.
Yeah, Sathju did get a little bit of help here from Garrett G. Honestly, I don't even know why Garrett's bothering to challenge that ball. The only thing that's going to happen there is he either wins it or it goes to the side, but is that really worth the risk of bringing him right back into the game? Now they have a minute 15 to only score 2.
I think from the looks of it, he was definitely trying to set up for a demo or something like that as JNAPS wasted the time. But now we do have a match on our hands. Sathju and Astro really making a meal of this at this point. Astro has got the ball on his head, will be challenged from the side. And the follow-up from Sathju will be too late. Garrett G to the other end of the field.
Man, that's a great read from Garrett G. Sathju had a couple of different ways he could have put that ball, and Garrett G knew exactly what he was doing with it.
Garrett G will be out first. JNAPS, he just loiters, passes it back, but they've leveled it too high. JNAPS could still be around for yet another shot. But Sathju will happily see that one away. 35 seconds remaining at this point. Sathstroh, after a couple more chances, but those clears are going to be the worst things for them to see at this point in time, especially when you're in zero boost, like Sathju currently is. He wants to try and pick up that middle one. Goal needs to come very soon if they want to try and make something off the following kickoff. Garrett G happy to just keep taking pot shots away at the net. JNAPS versus Astro. Shot is there, but the save is just as good. And as the time ticks away, the match was definitely more difficult than I think NRG2 were expecting, but they have managed to pick up the game.
Yeah, pretty solid game one from NRG2. But this, honestly, that game one kind of went about as I expected, to be totally honest. I knew Sathju and Astro would put up a pretty decent fight, but having to make, like you'll see on the stat sheet in a second, they had to make 10 saves in that game, and that's pretty much par for the course. I knew they were going to be able to make them, but I had some serious doubts about whether they'd actually be able to gain possession of the ball and move onto offense.
Well, the interesting thing for me, obviously watching that match there is, you know, Sathstroh taking the lead in that one seemed to awaken the beast a little bit in NRG2. Sometimes it can be the case in these games that, you know, the favourite team does come out a little bit slow early on, obviously first game for them today. But that did awake the beast, and from then they pretty much controlled the game.
Well, the majority of teams that NRG2 have faced to this point don't really know how to capitalize that quickly. They use a lot of boots just trying to get the ball rather than what to do immediately afterwards. And yes, it can be a worry for NRG2, but I think as soon as that goal went in, that was something they were going to fix pretty quickly. The main thing I'm looking at right now for Sathstroh, they've got to be very aware of where they put that ball. There is such a thing as taking too bad of a shot, where you basically give away all of the pressure. It's the same thing you've seen other sports where, you know, someone throws a ball, and if you make it too easy, they can just power it elsewhere. If you take a shot that is too low or bounces up, it's an easy half volley clear. They need to be very careful with where they place that ball, otherwise they can get caught.
And also the big issue that I saw to Sathstroh in general was a lot of times they've spent on defense. Yes, they were able to make a lot of saves, but they also didn't have a lot of boost to really push out onto the offense. They didn't give themselves the ability to. That being said, NRG and JNAP's doing a bang-up job controlling a lot of the boost on the pitch.
Here we go then, gentlemen. Game 2's underway. It's back over to you.
So can those changes come through for Sathstroh?
Oh, no way.
Well, they look to try and make this a real hassle for NRG2. Weren't able to quite do that in game number 1, despite a very bright start for them. JNAPS has got Garrett to aim for. Just seemed to slice across the side of that ball, and now looking to break nice and quickly. Sathstroh. Astro is up front, trying to cause some damage. It seemed a little bit wasteful, though. It didn't really look like they knew what they wanted to do with that ball. Definitely knew what they wanted to do with that one, though. Just banging it down to the other end of the field.
Wow.
Astro wanting to clear.
Astro got a pretty fortunate way to land on that back wall, put him right back in position to challenge that ball. It's going to keep it here in the neutral game, and this is going to be a big test here for Sathstroh and Astro. If they can really gain possession here and stay on offense for a bit. But they keep missing boost around the pitch. They just let JNAPS have his own corner boost.
We're going to see what JNAPS can do with that corner boost. There is beat to the ball by Astro. How much is that going to mean in the long run? Astro has got Garrett to try and beat, but jumps us that little bit too early. Another challenge win. Garrett G causing damage all by himself. Out to JNAPS.
So
scored!
early. JNAPS was up so quick for this shot. Garrett G wins another good challenge. JNAPS immediately starts racing up the field. He knows where this one's going. And Astro, you can try all you want. You got to know exactly where that pass is going before you're going to make it to there. So a well-executed play from NRG2 there.
I mean, if you're JNAPS, you've just watched Garrett G beat 2 players all the way down to the other end of the pitch. You've got to know that he's going to be able to get that pass over to you. So Garrett G doing incredibly good in situations where he's just one-on-one against a player. This time he's going to be 2v1.
Woo. Don't own goal
and the
it again.
pass wasn't great, but still, it's such a calamity in the blue box. 1-1 out of pretty much nowhere.
Sathstroh JNAP's given a lot of respect there to Astro. He jumped at that ball because he's like, look, if he hits it, I got to be able to save the ball. And unfortunately, you know, he missed it, and that made JNAPS fly right by. So a nice, easy equalizer. And, you know, if you're Sathstroh and Astro, you take what you can get.
I mean, they'll definitely take it, especially considering they were a goal down. Garrett. Does he want to go for the Doomsy Dish? No. Definitely tried for it, but the woodwork did deny him.
Ooh, that was clean.
Astro has to do well here. Decides to go straight down the line. I like that a lot more. Usually a lot of these players try to go as direct as possible.
Big miss.
There is the opportunity to use a bit of width, and Astro uses too much width on that shot off the woodwork. And that was their chance to take the lead.
And that is the big difference maker between really good teams and great teams. One team makes a mistake, every great team will punish it immediately and precisely. And when you miss chances like that, it does not look good.
Garrett taking some of those power shots towards the net. How long until he wants to pass out to JNAPS? JNAPS has got someone to jump. Astro is going to be forced to chase this down. He's got 2 players. Different layers of gladiators in front of him. Decides to allow Sathstroh to move forward. Backboard aim for. JNAPS jumps. He's not got there in time. Going to go for the backboard yet again. It just didn't quite look like they ever got the angle. The opportunity is now gone.
Honestly, not the cleanest game here from NRG2. A couple of big mistakes that Sathstroh and Astro really should have been able to punish, but so far the precision not quite there on offense.
Back out. Garrett G infield to
what a
JNAPS,
shot.
and JNAPS. Well, he's just not going to miss those, is he?
He's not going to miss those, and the more important thing is exactly where he places this ball. Again, he knows Garrett's going to flip that one right out to him. Any decent player is going to be able to put that ball right in the center of the net. It's only JNAPS who can fire it into the right-hand post and make it unsavable.
And considering the conversations we have had over the past few days, it really is the sort of situation you want to employ the infield pass when there is another option available, when you're forcing the other team to look, because he could have just put it off the backboard and JNAPS could have followed from there. So once those two options become available as a defender, it becomes that much harder to try and cover both of them.
It's kind of, again, it's just like every other fighting game. Give yourself all of the options in the world. It becomes very difficult to defend against all of them at once.
NRG2 controlling the pace at the moment. Sathstroh only have a minute and 20 left if they want to try and find a way through, but Garrett G yet again booming clear to the other end of the field. You can see just how well they can just reverse the pressure on a dime.
Ooh, JNAPS
and
with a
that
big
is going
risk.
to be an open net. Sathstroh just has to tap that one in. NRG2 once again caught with too many players forwards.
Yeah, JNAPS, he was like, yeah, I can go beat Astro this ball, but again, that is a lack of respect this time around as opposed to earlier where he had too much. He's just like, I'm JNAPS, I can do whatever I want. No, you cannot. Sathstroh and Astro will take that one any day.
He's delayed his extra flick as long as he possibly could. Is this the opportunity they need? It is! 3-2. And I think we might have bigged this up as being a little bit too much of a whitewash.
Well, it honestly probably should have been, but Garrett G really overcommitted to that left-hand side. Sathstroh with a nice dribble, a solid catch, and a quick hard cut to the right-hand side. You can catch even the best in the world off guard if you do it right.
I mentioned the NRG2, if they want to progress into the later stages of the tournament, would love to work for a little bit of it. Get them used to the higher stakes. This match is starting to get higher stakes now that Sathstroh have got themselves a lead. They need to convert it though. We've already seen NRG2 bounce back with less than a minute to go. And there's nothing to say they can't do it yet again.
What really bites is Sathstroh and Astro should really have at least a one-goal cushion here in this game.
The other end of the field, JNAPS. Gonna try and follow his own. Astro leaves that for as long as possible. Might not have been the best idea as they've been required to commit two players to the corner. Could open up some space. Sathstroh though with enough boost to try and recover.
Yeah, they really lucked out. JNAPS was in the midfield. He only had 8 boost and he peeled off to go get the mid one. Here's a chance though. Garrett G double tap off the back wall. It doesn't matter how much time is on the clock. He'll grab the boost in the midfield. Sathstroh's late to it. JNAPS sets it up. And he'll tap that one home.
Just a complete lack of pace coming out from Sathstroh. They saw the ball coming towards them, and it was almost like a resignation that that ball was going to go into the back of the net. They just seemed to forget how to get over to it. And it's happened yet again. Last time we were here, it was a 0-second goal that finished it all off.
They got
Is it going to be something close to that? 5 seconds left. Sathstroh retake the lead.
And Garrett G, a lot of faith in JNAP's challenge right there, was creeping forward. And again, Sathstroh and Astro get it over their heads, and it's a wide open net.
5 seconds now. This is not over just yet, especially off this kickoff. There is the possibility for the cheater. Neither of them want to go for it, though. Boost to Garrett. Shot to Garrett.
Kidding.
Follow up. Not, though.
Kept it high.
I don't think JNAP's going to be able to get to that, especially after Sathstroh gets there in time. So, achieves an onset. 1 game apiece.
1 game apiece indeed. And gentlemen, we have a series on our hands.
They dodged a bullet, though.
I was just about to say, that could have been a lot easier than they made it. That could have been easier than they made it. They had some really big chances there achieved that they didn't take hold of. But most importantly, unlike we saw yesterday against NRG2, they managed to just close out that game.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely Garrett G and JNAP showing that they can bleed. I mean, we're sitting here saying they're undoubtedly the best team. And don't get us wrong, they absolutely are. But you can see that they are not playing this game perfectly as you may have been led to believe from what we've seen so far. They definitely are leaving a few options open that they really probably shouldn't.
It definitely seems more like decision-making issues rather than his mechanical issues.
Exactly.
From NRG2. I mean, twice they got caught whilst trying to come off that backboard, and you know, you should probably learn from it after the first time.
A question for you, both of you guys actually, was do you feel there might have been a little bit of overconfidence from NRG2 in some of those challenges in the midfield that we saw that did lead to the goals to Sathstroh? Obviously, if they can address that in this next game, then that might be a big thing for them to look at.
Well, the crazy thing is it's not overconfidence in the guy going for the challenge. It's overconfidence in the guy behind them. Because you always, it goes back to what we were talking about on the first day of this broadcast. The decision-making of the back player is so important in 2v2. And if you're sitting there like, yeah, JNAPS has that challenge, whatever, and you start pushing forward, and then all of a sudden he loses it, well, now you're the one at fault.
I'm a little bit on both sides for this one, because at the same time, we saw that very first backboard one where JNAPS went forward. He knew no one was going to be able to get back in time because Garrett had just tried to play. would JNAPS be going for that if there was maybe a higher or maybe more recognized name up there trying to take that ball? I don't think he would.
I don't think that's an excuse. I think he
no, I'm
knows
just saying,
how good.
and that's me not trying to give them an excuse. That's me maybe saying maybe not respecting what's in front of them enough.
Yeah, it's just like, but I think they know who Sathstroh and Astro are. I think they know they're good players, and they can definitely take advantage of that. I think it's just, they're like, yeah, I can go get that. So yeah, a lack of respect.
Okay, well, just to remind you all, we've had some goals already in this game. Haven't quite tallied them up. You usually tally them up, though.
I've got
got
them written down.
Okay, well, we've got some meals to give away, basically, is what we're saying. Soylent will be donating some meals. It'll be every single goal scored. Obviously, Soylent will be donating 10 meals. They won't donate goals. They donate meals. That's what they're doing. They donate 10 meals for every single goal that is scored. So I believe it's 13 you were saying there.
Yeah,
so
13
fantastic.
between both teams.
130 meals already. If you want to get involved in the fight against hunger as well, obviously head over to wfpusa.org/Shogun. It's your turn.
Universal Open.
Universal Open. We're
not going to make anything wrong today.
We're a team here, so that's always good to see. But it looks like Game 3 is about to get underway, and this could be a real swing game in this series, gentlemen, especially if Sathstroh can maybe just eke out a game here and put themselves on match point.
But here's the big difference. Garrett G and JNAPS, I think they know exactly what went wrong in that last game, and you do not expect those same wide-open double committee, out of position, free goals that Sathstroh and Astro got. If they're going to want to win, they're going to have to beat them.
Yeah, the casual music's now off. Okay, they're going to get rid of that. They've changed
lounge
it to the
dance
real
gone.
game playlist. Okay, it's full of dubstep, metal, and dubstep metal. Well, she did mention this could be the swing game. It's going to be the flip reset from JNAPS, and he attempted to use it. Most of the time in Rocket League, it's not actually gaining the flip reset that's the most difficult part. It's keeping control of your ball after you do it.
And that's why I'm only Champ 3.
Only Champ 3. What percentage is that in the game?
It's in the top 1%.
Yes. You're doing okay for yourself. You can sit in a room of 100 people and say, I'm probably better than all of you. But as soon as number 101 turns up,
I'm done.
You're done. You're not the best anymore. Now off the backboard. JNAPS goes hunting. Setup could come over to him as well. Double commit over to the side. Just see Garrett loitering around in the back for exactly this sort of situation. Boost control currently over to NRG2. What a great shot. And if they can pick up this win, they'll be that much closer to that $100,000 prize pool.
Oh no, Astro on the rotate back. He took a really sharp angle into the net, realized he only had 16 boost, then cut back out to the corner to go and grab it. Left the net wide open. He would have been there if he would have rotated properly.
You just get that little bit panicky though when you've had offense against you for as long as it was, especially as the boost starve was starting to be employed. Starting to get the feeling that you need to finish off the play nice and quickly. Another clear. Sathstroh versus Garrett. Does come out in Sathstroh's favor. It's going to be that little bit more difficult to catch NRG2 out. You can see the line is now spread much further out. They're no longer pushing beyond the halfway line with number 2.
Ooh,
they might not even have to bother with that, though. Another mistake from Sathstroh. And that is going to be 2-0.
Another mistake, but also it's a very tough play to make right here. Reading that top corner bounce, it's so much easier. I like to call it the advantage of position from the offense. You can see that ball, know exactly where it's coming down off that corner, and know exactly where it's going to go in relation to the pitch. Playing that with the camera angle straight up is so difficult.
As well, you just got much better angles to try and come towards it, but JNAPS wants to try and make use of his own angles. Is shut down. His next goal, get the feeling, really has to go to Sathstroh. Oh boys, this game could really run away from them. Coming up towards the end of the second minute of the game. Played out. There's
what a
Sathstroh,
touch.
and what a great team play that is. Phenomenal confidence from the boys, and they've got back into it.
A perfect lead here from Astro right out in front of Sathstroh. And what's so important is that they got it done quickly. Garrett G and JNAPS were still playing that very aggressive style, and they said, look, we need to drive the ball down the pitch quickly, and they did it accurately as well. That's the most important part. They got it done fast and accurate.
Well, that's also the first time we've seen Sathstroh put someone behind the line. It's usually been down to NRG2 pushing up way too far forward. This time just needed to get a big enough clear to try and find the man, but another shot there from Sathstroh is this time blocked.
And one thing Garrett G and JNAPS continue to do very well is control all the boost on that orange side of the field. They've only had access to maybe one of the orange corner boosts on defense, and it has been a struggle this entire Game 3 for them.
Best option seems to be Garrett G going for the air dribble.
Wow, he missed it.
You know, for any other player, You wouldn't have that sound of surprise
Yeah,
on
I
you.
know, right? It's just like you see Garrett G get over the head of somebody, you're like, that's going in.
I usually say that every time I see Garrett G with the ball. Doesn't matter where or if,
Ooh.
but JNaps will be the stronger of the two cars in that situation. 3-1.
JNaps has definitely spent a lot more time in the gym, that's for sure, than Astro, and just, perfect positioning on that challenge.
Dug the shoulder in there.
Yeah, center of mass, center of the ball. There's no way you're winning that one unless you're doing the exact same thing.
Winner of this game will be on match point. It's not over just yet, but I'm sure NRG2 would love to just keep putting the goals in. There's going to be another opportunity. Way too far out. Now Garrett G finds himself alone. Sathstroh just can't quite get it set up for himself. There's Garrett G looking for that double tap. This time around, he is blocked. Gonna be anyone back this time around? Garrett G just tried to force it in.
I switched my camera angles on that one. I thought that was actually the G2 net, and I was like, oopsie daisy. I was like, hang on a minute, never mind. He's being cheeky.
Astro, he's going to try and be a little bit cheeky with this one as well. Had very little boost, but still slowed down the pace just enough. I'm not quite liking these angles, though, that Sathstroh is taking in towards the ball. Leaves way too many options, and it's just not quite fast enough for me at this point in time, but Astro might not need speed.
Could see Astro rotating his car back there, trying to get a better angle on the challenge, hoping Garrett G would be coming at it really, really fast.
Back out. Garrett G. This time around thinking better. Almost got flicked, but you saw him pre-jump the stop. Seemed to know exactly what was going to come towards him, and he read it correctly. So it's going to be back in the orange side of the field. Back to square one for Sathstroh. As he looks to try and pick up the first of two. Is it going to be free? Not quite.
Changeup not quite good enough, and again, JNaps and Garrett G really limiting Sathstroh's boost management on their own half. That's a great play from Astro, though. Lands under JNaps, takes him out of the play, and it's a chance to breathe.
Just haven't got players in the correct positions, though, to follow up afterwards.
Oh, he's up so early.
NRG2 holding that midfield line. Whoever is required to stop, usually tasked with trying to play the ball immediately afterwards. Now it's going to be Sathstroh. He's won the challenge. Maybe he can drop himself down there in a good spot, and he has! 1 goal game, 22 seconds left.
Excellent recovery here from Sathstroh. Just gets right on top of it, boost down to the ground because speed's important. Garrett G was racing back, and that is an individual effort that they needed to give themselves a chance here. Not a lot of time, but this is a good chance. With a kickoff, you can set yourself up on the right foot with a good one.
Very rarely do those hit and hope and chases really work out, but that time around it did. JNaps wants to try and put the nail in the coffin. And now we've got the 1v1. Sathstroh chasing downfield. You know JNaps is around now. Went for the early flick. I would love to have seen him use a little bit more width. You had time. And now they've got to get a hold of this ball somehow, but Astro and Sathstroh too close to the wall. Demo will be chased up. More bumps. They don't want to see anything. They won't see anything. 2-1 to NRG2.
NRG2 then on the match point, as you can just see there, a much more convincing performance from them, but again Sathstroh giving as good as they got, and something we should highlight during that game, during our first series of the day, we have a dual force achievement unlock, and that is going to go to the man himself, Sathstroh, who picked up 7 goals, and he's currently on 17 saves as well, which is the most we have had so far in the Universal Open Season 2. So congratulations to him. Obviously, he would have much rather taken that win home, but obviously the achievement unlocked, we should credit him for that, right?
Yeah, sure. He's definitely had to play some really stingy defense here between Garrett G and JNaps, and I just realized he's scored actually every single goal for Sathstroh so far. So,
well, there you go. So NRG2 now on match point. You can see, you know, they're getting closer and closer and closer now to moving on how we would expect them to, but they are getting that challenge that you were talking about, Shogun, that they would have maybe wanted as they move into these qualifiers going ahead a little bit. They're then being made to work so hard for this.
Yes, I mean, right now we're not too sure roughly where competitive 2v2 stands. We're not too sure what the playstyle is going to be. And I can kind of assume that it's the same for most of these guys. You know, a lot of them, the only times they'll play twos is, you know, solo in ranked, where you're just constantly changing up. I really doubt that there's a scrim scene for it at this point in time.
Not yet.
Not yet. I might get closer and closer to it.
I tell you what, with $100,000 on the line, you might see that happening
That
pretty
should be
quickly. To
happening,
be honest
let's
with
be
you,
honest.
that's a lot of money to be involved with. But the game is about to get started, gentlemen. Will we see a game number 5 here in our first series of the day? It's a good question. Or will NRG2 close this one out, gentlemen? The game's about to start. I'm throwing it back to you, but what do you think? Game 5?
Has to be scrappy. This has to be scrappy if Sathstroh want any chance. If this starts becoming clean, you can suddenly start to see those rotations. That midfield hold from NRG2 is a little bit too strong for them. But if they can keep this end-to-end gameplay going, that might just work out.
Yeah, I'd also like to see Sathstroh use a little bit less boost on their own half. We saw him go off the ceiling for some weird touches, using a lot of boost in kind of pointless endeavors, so kind of limit that, and they might be able to hang on a little bit more and challenge better out of the midfield.
Well, let's see if they can indeed do that. Remember, one more win for NRG2 puts them through to the next round of our tournament.
Oh, you're kidding.
Well, you absolutely are. JNAPS keeping that pressure on. Garrett G forces the challenge. This is Sathstroh's opportunity. Number 8 for him.
9.
Number 9 for him, in fact.
He had 8 already. That's 9.
Boy simply cannot miss.
He's done a bang-up job making sure he scores when he's got the opportunities. That is for sure. And again, JNAPS and Garrett G, well, just feeling a little bit too cocky, moving forward really hard.
Well, I do like what we're currently seeing from Sathstroh, where he does hold himself further up the field. He is trusting Astro with the defense. He is saying, okay, you can cover that, and I will come back, if needed. He certainly might be needed in this situation, but that ability just to hold around, and if Astro does get a big clear, very useful and opens up a lot more options.
Like right there. Astro just used so much boost trying to chase that ball down.
He's using everything he can, including the small boosts.
Exactly.
Sathstroh doesn't take that bait. Now he's got an opportunity to move this by himself. Option to his right.
Fake it.
Not quite used. Flick wasn't as powerful as he was intending. Japs wins the race in the air.
Astro wisely leaving that boost behind him for Sathstroh to collect so they can both push up here.
Sathstroh does not seem to have any boost. RG will be forced to play by himself. It's the ball to come out wide. JNAPS knowing better to try and challenge Sathstroh. Still remain 1 goal to the better. There's been a pace slowdown. Sathstroh happy to take on the 1v1s.
And that really does favor Sathstroh and Astro because you've got your 1-goal lead. At this point, you kind of just buckle down, and if you get a chance, you go for it, but you can't afford to miss something like that.
Well, Sathstroh's got that back in time, but he has got a very incidental touch. Follow-up from Garrett G. Let's go just a little bit too high up for that one. Found himself too far forward.
You're not even halfway through the game, but already kind of clock management is on your mind. And you have to be very careful with the challenges you go for.
Back out. Pressure currently on. JNAPS has got the ball on his hood. Not for too long, however.
Another wasted boost.
And that's going to be a waste of a ball as well. Once again, shot from NRG2 is too high. But the low boost from Sathstroh could catch them out here. There's going to be the pickup in the far corner. That was crucial for Sathstroh.
JNAPS stole the other one, though.
It's going to be pretty much down to Sathstroh to deal with JNAPS. Drop straight down. Nothing too much for Astro to deal with. In fact, that was pretty much the only situation he probably could deal with. The amount of boost he had. Anything up high could have spelled the end of their 1-goal lead.
That was a big challenge there from Sathstroh to buy all the time in the world for Astro to get back. It was a big challenge.
Sathstroh waits out. Stealing that boost in the far corner. Astro by himself, but that shot will not trouble him too much. The boost steal is attempted, and it is there. Follow-up from Garrett G. Too high.
Nice.
Double tap. You wanted it earlier on, Achieves. He delivers it this time around.
Got it this time, and this is an even tougher read, to be honest, because you're not sure if it's going to go off the bar and go down or go right back out to the center. So a perfect read from Garrett G. Plenty of time in the lab to nail that one.
1-0 in a 2v2 game. We were insane to even think that could ever happen.
What is this, football?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, definitely teaching you here. Garrett G with the setup to JNAPS. Dropping straight down, but you can already see Garrett G respecting the option from Sathstroh. It's going to be dangerous, however. Sathstroh has played it back out. That was the worst thing he could have possibly done. Not the corner, not the upper end of the pitch, right into the path of Garrett G.
What really is the most unfortunate part is he doesn't The positioning does not work in his favor. There's only one way to hit that ball for it to be truly safe, and he misplayed it. He came a little bit too far under it instead of getting all the way behind it. Just popped it right off the ceiling.
So now Sathstroh, despite the bright start from them, have dropped it. It's now 2-1. They've got to keep that belief, though, that they can get this one back. The lower bracket is indeed the safety net that they've got, but it's a safety net that they don't want to use.
Also, you get to walk into the regional saying you beat NRG2, and people pay attention to that.
Everyone will be paying attention to that. Garrett, backboard from him. Sathstroh taking his time, knowing the Geneps has gone all the way around for a wide rotation. Another double tap attempt from Garrett G. I think he might be listening to the broadcaster, Chiefs.
I think he's just got, you know, he got his protein this morning. Because that's disgusting. Oof.
3-1. NRG2 need to work for it.
What time is it over there in the U.S.? It's we're 6 hours ahead of Eastern time, or we're 6 hours ahead of Central.
It's about 4 something, I believe.
Yeah, we're 5 ahead.
Well,
and
speaking
how about
of
another one? There's 4 is right.
And JNAB's popping in yet another one, and now it seems like for Sathstroh, that belief might just be welting away.
I think that's it. I think that's it. But to be fair, an excellent series overall by Sathstroh and Astro. I mean, what more could you ask for? We saw Garrett G and JNABs.
We could ask for the potential comeback.
Okay, we could ask for that. But does it happen? What happened on this kick? Oh, just a big miss from Garrett G.
They've been intentionally losing those pretty much all game. That time around, it comes out to catch them. Sathstroh just able to follow through on his own touch. Maybe that belief comes back just a little bit more.
Well, they need to get this one as well.
Got the boost. JNAB's very close. Will not be there for that one.
Ooh, they're both
Astro
there. They're lurking.
With the shot. It's a pretty good one as well, but Garrett G in there to cover.
Just
Keeping
feel like
that
they
ball up
rushed
high.
it.
Garrett G will happily see that one away. Pick up that goal, and they've got to pick up soon, but that's a very good double tap there from Astro. Used a lot of boost to bring himself back down.
Ooh, good fake.
Pass out could be very difficult. Garrett G with the ball
That's
in his own
good.
control. That miss could be the difference maker now in this game. Sathstroh used boost to get into this position. Used boost to get it around. And Garrett G once again covering. NRG happily putting people all the way back. JNABs can't quite nail that shot, but it will not matter. Your first qualifiers, NRG2.
So perhaps not the biggest of surprises, but again, definitely showing them that they got to do a little bit of work if you want to end up winning this thing. No consolation there at 0 seconds to just pad the stats a little bit for JNABs and Garrett G. But again, well played to Sathstroh. Really want to see how they play in the losers bracket. They played a pretty good game, to be honest. And I think if you're versus anybody but Garrett G and JNABs, they probably beat a lot of people.
Well, we're going to be able to see that later on set.
Yeah, we are indeed. And yeah, congratulations again to NRG2, our first qualifier so far from the Eastern region. Fantastic performance from them. Not what we didn't expect. Definitely one of the favourites, potentially tournament favourites coming into the Universal Open Season 2. But there was one moment in that game for me that really seemed to swing the tide a little bit. And it was that second goal that NRG2 got, the mistake that came in. And you know what it's like. Yeah, you know what it's like as a player. When you're in such a tight game, such an attritional game, you make that one mistake and all of the confidence can just, especially when, you know, your tournament, your upper bracket life's on the line, it can just drain like that.
Well, yeah. Most of the time that we saw mistakes from Sathstroh, it was usually forced mistakes. You know, times that really, you can't really blame them too much for making the mistake because it was definitely an issue there.
Yeah.
But this time around,
unforced error.
Just not needed. And when you get that sort of mistake come out, it does drain a lot from you. And from there, NRG2 just started to dominate.
Yeah, I mean, and Garrett G, you know, like you said, started listening to the broadcast, nailing the double taps. And after that, that's all she wrote.
So NRG2, as we say, they will be our first qualifier. The question obviously coming out of today is going to be who's going to be joining them now. I mean, Sathstroh put up a pretty strong performance, but, you know, that's again, that lower bracket's got some potential sharks in the water there.
Sathstroh plays Splice, because they're... No, wait, no. Splice is on the upper half.
So they'll be taking on Birds and Bees.
Birds and Bees.
Which is...
Roldiz and Sipical.
Yeah, that could be very interesting.
Really good match. That could be a really good match.
Well, talking of upcoming matches, let's have a quick brisk bracket update as well and see exactly what matches we're going to have coming and how that affects the bracket a little bit. And as you can see there, NRG2, 3-1 win over Sathstroh, but it was an incredibly tight game that we just see, and as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, lit up in yellow. Beautiful yellow. Beautiful sort of limeade brisk colour there on the right-hand side. NRG2 our first qualifier. You can see Splice and Birds and Bees waiting there on the other side of things as well. And just a quick note as well, we had 24 goals scored during that series. So thanks to our fantastic sponsor, Sorted. Of course, that means 240 extra meals going in the fight against hunger across the North America.
And we get all 4 games today.
We get all 4 games today.
We
get all 4 games today. Remember, double the broadcast today. We're bringing you all 4 games, which is, it's fantastic, isn't it? Let's be honest.
That was honestly...
We're doing you a good job.
A higher scoring series than I really expected it to be. I mean, Sathstroh, they played really great defense. I just wasn't sure how much offense NRG2 were really going to be able to put up against them. But,
I think both teams will come out of this happy-ish. I mean, no team comes out of a loss, happy.
I mean, they played 1-goal games 2 out of 4. The other 2, they only lost by 2 goals. So it's not like they ever got blown out.
They've also got the very last game of today's broadcast. They've got plenty of time to go and sort themselves out mentally.
I think it's one of those things. NRG2 will be happy to get the win. That's the first thing to do, isn't it? Obviously, get that win, get qualified. And the other side of things, there's a lot of positives to take away.
I think that's the first game they lost.
It is.
It is the first game.
Yeah,
I mean, they almost lost.
It's almost an accomplishment when they don't win 5 goals. So, that's pretty good there from Sathstroh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was a couple of magical moments in that series, wasn't there? A couple of double touches that really stood out for me. And again, it's just that ability to create almost something out of nothing that has separated them, for me, from some of the other teams that are in the tournament at the moment that we've seen in the Eastern Quarter. Let's look into these, into the other matches that we've got. We saw Karma pull off something insane yesterday. Even Shogun was still talking about it when we were walking to the studio today. It's those kind of moments in 2v2 that seem to stand out even more, just because you sometimes have to create something out of nothing.
Well, that's the thing that I absolutely love about 2v2 in general. It's like you have so much more creative license than you do in a 3v3 environment. Again, I touched on it back in day 1. You've got so much space to work with. You really get to showcase your mechanical ability in 2v2, and that's what I love about it.
It really is a case of when you see people in freeze and you say, okay, here's a ball, beat all of them. Everyone just goes, I can't. Okay, that's just not possible. But you say beat 2 people. Yeah, people can do that. That's pretty nice. People can manage that. So you're going to see a lot more. I think you're going to see good goals more frequently in this tournament.
Okay, then. Well, that's going to do us for the moment. Of course, when we get back, we're going to go for a very quick break right now. But when we get back, we have our next upper bracket game coming up. It's going to be Space Station taking on Upper 90 Esports. We'll see you in just a sec.